Encounter is brought to you by the Broome County Council of Churches.
Good morning. My name is Joe Sellepack. I'm the Executive Director at the Broome County Council of Churches and your host for Encounter today. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about a very serious topic for our community. It is abuse, and it's and also some ways that we through the religious community have means to combat such things as child abuse, spousal abuse, elder abuse, and also the ways that those come out in terms of neglect and other types of behavior that are very negative in our community. To help us discuss this topic, we have Janette Cyganovich. She works with the Family Violence Prevention Council, and she is the coordinator for that group. Yes, it's great to have you on here, Janette.
Thank you.
And Pastor Greg Johnson, who actually got me involved in the Family Violence Prevention Council and put my name forward, and they selected me to be on the committee, and so we have three of us that are all on that committee here today. Welcome to Encounter, both of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So let's start it off by talking a little bit about abuse in the community and family violence in particular, Janette, and how prevalent is that issue or those behaviors inside of our community?
Well, we judge the prevalence, typically by statistics, and statistics probably only give us a certain percentage of what's happening. Those are the incidents that we know about. In terms of child abuse, in Broome County itself, there are over 3,000 reports of alleged incidents of child abuse. This year, last year, there were over 3,000 reports that Child Protective Services has to investigate. Domestic violence, the police go out on those typically, and they do up domestic incidents reports. All that documentation goes to the state and gives a picture throughout the state of how prevalent domestic violence is. And then we have elder abuse. And elder abuse, a new study came out on elder abuse where it talked about, in New York State, only 1 out of probably approximately 23 cases ever gets reported.
Oh, man.
So elder abuse, we believe, is very underreported according to that study that New York State did. So, we like to come on shows like this just because we don't want abuse or family violence to be a secret.
Right. Because it seems like it would actually feed on the secrecy. And
then it perpetuates the cycle of family violence.
Right.
Once a secret's kept, it perpetuates that it keeps on going.
Yeah, and you hear cases like that where it goes generation to generation too. So it's not just something that occurs in one isolated incident. That often the abuser has also been abused at some point in their life, and because of the secrecy and because of the ways that has played out in that person's life, it kind of repeats itself.
Yes, that's correct.
And sometimes if you open it up, you can bring some light to it.
Bring some light. Sometimes if you intervene, that's when you get the help for the victim, but you can also get the help for the perpetrator or the aggressive person. There is typically help for both.
Now, is there a relationship, do you think, between poverty and abuse?
Poverty is one of the risk factors, particularly in child abuse, that is there. But that's not to say abuse does happen in any strata of economic life.
So, what are some of the other risk factors that are involved in abuse? In child abuse?
In child abuse, isolation, not having supports in the community, being a young parent. Sometimes when you're a young parent or a single parent, that increases, the stress in raising a child, things like that.
Very interesting. Now, Pastor Johnson, I know we're having a conference that's coming up in November. It's going to be held at your church on what the religious community and ways that we can help with alleviating some of these issues that are coming up through that Janette just spoke about. Why is this important, do you think, for the religious community to be speaking about this?
Several reasons. One is it's important to begin to have a conversation and a discussion between the faith community and human services. And it needs to be a conversation within the faith community as well, so that we can learn to deal with the aspects and the dynamics of domestic violence, and then move towards helping the victims and the perpetrators along with human services. So those are the biggest reasons that we will look at this particular conference and having it.
And when is this conference? Let's go ahead and get the date out there and some of the presenters. So when is this conference taking place?
We are holding the conference on November 8th at the Cornerstone Community Church in Endicott, and it's an afternoon conference. We polled some clergy, and they said afternoons would be a good time to do this. So it will be from 12:30 to 4:30.
And what will be some of the topics that are covered, and how will those topics be covered?
Well, first off, we're going to have a panel of religious leaders in our community, representing 4 denominations, and we're going to have a panel discussion from the religious perspective to start off the day. And following that, we will be having someone speak to child abuse, domestic violence, and elder abuse, each a little bit separately, just to shed some light on each of those
subtopics.
Yes.
And those will be kind of breakout sessions, or will everybody be involved in
Everybody
those?
will be involved in
All
that.
right, and each one of them, right?
Correct.
Excellent.
And then we will culminate the afternoon with a discussion, sort of a roundtable discussion, about how we can further this conversation and working together as human services organizations with faith-based communities, because faith-based communities are very important when it comes to being a support to families during those crisis times. And during all the floods and whatever we've had in this community, the faith-based community is strong and really has a lot of impact and support for families that we would like to share and work with. One
of my experiences at the Council of Churches has been that the faith communities in this community really do collaborate well together, don't they, Greg? I mean,
yes,
this has been one of the things that I've noticed coming from Buffalo to Binghamton has been just how well they work together. And what's been your experience with that?
When there's a need, that has been the case. The faith community comes together to support the community. So there is a strong support from the religious community when we have needs that need to be met, when the community is stressed, when there are situations that we can definitely step in and work to overcome. I think that's the biggest thing that the faith community brings in helping the community at large overcome issues that we have, and this is a good thing. I think having this conversation would allow us another opportunity to come together to work on overcoming. I want to say some of the issues behind domestic violence. One I think would be the stigma that is attached to it, whether it's child abuse, domestic violence, partners, or elderly abuse, and how the faith community can be an integral part in helping the families in this situation move forward.
Yeah. So by helping families actually be stronger themselves, we help curb domestic violence. So there's a theology of the family that's active in churches, right? So we know, for instance, that that love is expressed in family, and we want to give people skills to use so that they can demonstrate love in the right ways, right? So.
A healthy perspective of
Right.
love, and help define what that looks like from a healthy perspective.
Right, because there have been times in theology when we've blamed the person who's been abused and set them back inside of environments where they're going to continue being abused, and we've justified it at times using theology, which I think is wrong. Isn't that? Have you?
I tend to agree with you in some of those situations, especially when it comes to domestic violence in marriages. I believe that's something that has happened, and when you send, whether it's male or female, back into the relationship, into that same environment, knowing what's going on. I think the faith community has an opportunity to help the community, the faith community, and the community at large understand and reframe and define what love looks like, what love is in a healthy way, and theologically, what that looks like for us theologically. You know, how does God or our Creator show love, and what that looks like, and how we can reflect that same type of love in relationships, in marriages, in our families, and so this is a great opportunity to talk about that.
Yeah, and it would seem to me too that one of the things that if we believe in God as a creative force, as a creator, that we should be looking at family as a way of including that within it. So it's what's best for all people, and how do we grow people, and how do we become better inside the best possible parts of our nature. We give that expression within the family.
I think the biggest thing is helping victims and perpetrators both through the process of healing, and utilizing the resources